What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Alright, this story's called I Don't Work Here Too, Electric Boogaloo. So, this is my second I Don't Work Here moment in the last 30 days. Incidentally, at the same grocery store, Wood Guys. The last time this happened, I was wearing something vaguely that could be misconstrued as like the uniform of the workers. This time, I wasn't wearing anything that could be mistaken for a Wood Guys uniform. What I was doing was running my mouth. I got some things going on in my life and was looking for comfort food that wasn't gonna exacerbate certain health issues I have. I decided I needed crab, so I went to find it at Wood Guys. Of course, I was asked to pick up some ramen and other things while I was there. I've been taking my cousin Paris through the gambit of how to be an instant ramen connoisseur. So I'm in the ramen aisle and this guy sees me grab the duck ramen and he asks me about it. I tell him a bit and I happen to point out that I have had literally every flavor here from every different brand. He seems intrigued, so I answer his questions. I tell him which pork tastes most like pork, which ones have a stronger flavor, or which ones' noodles aren't all that tasty. I strongly suggest Maruchan and Mama brands. I offer some tips on how to prepare some things, like adding a bit of red pepper paste, ground beef 80-20, cooked with finely diced onions, mushrooms and carrots, and crushed garlic with your tomato ramen, or how shrimp ramen comes alive if you cook some fake crab meat with it. Get you some butter, shallots, a little garlic, cook that together, add your fake crab meat, crumble it, add a little white wine if you got it, cook it good, finish with tarragon. I was explaining how sometimes you want a soup and sometimes you want something thicker. So like with chicken ramen, everything but the creamy kind, which I despise, roast chicken Maruchan and chicken Mama are way good for this. Boil the water first, add your noodles, then let it cook till it's mostly done, drain 2/3 of the water, then add your oil and packets, cook it, constantly stirring. The starchy water and all that will emulsify, giving you a different consistency. Add you some hot sauce to that mix, top it with some finely cut green onions and thin sliced kielbasa sausage. You want to pan fry the sausage. Anyway, I'm giving a clinic and I've got a few people listening. After I get my thanks, I make some specific suggestions and all is good. Then someone grabs me softly by my elbow. I look back and it's this elderly Hmong lady, I don't know what that is, who was just standing there listening to me for a bit. I ask if she has a ramen question, not believing I could tell her anything about it. She says something like, "You have me now," with a very strong accent. She points out of the aisle and tries to lead me away, but I don't move. I apologize and tell her I'm just a ramen enthusiast, though I can't have ramen right now and that I did not work here. She gives me a confused look and apologizes. "Oh, you busy? I'm so sorry." She's so polite. So I'm like, maybe I can help. I do shop here a lot. I look around for a worker, but there is none. So I let the lady lead me over to the drinks and she's asking about the sugar, I think. She can't seem to read what's on the packages. Her glasses are thick as hell, so probably sight isn't the best for her. So I spent, no lie, 10 minutes reading things to this lady. Drinks, soaps, meats, just reading the contents. She thanks me and I think it's over. But she flags down another older Hmong lady. Oh, that's like an ethnic group, right? This one takes me by the elbow again and leads me somewhere. I explained I don't work there. I was just being friendly. But she, who speaks perfect language, insists that she just needs a big strapping guy to grab some things for her. This woman had 2 carts and only wanted things on the top shelf. I spent a good while helping her before her daughter came and asked me to help her with something. She acknowledged that she knew I didn't work there, but apparently had caught my seminar on ramen and asked if I knew anything about sausages and if I was a cook. I am not a cook. Not trained anyway, but I can throw down. But I know a little bit about sausages. She was making pizza and she had like Johnsonville, which, okay, is serviceable. I use it from time to time, but I told her that she should hunt down some Purnells if they got it, and gave her a little tip that she should saute the vegetables before trapping them under the cheese. Cook the sausage first, saute the vegetables vegetables in the sausage drippings and not bake in the bitter taste of the vegetables. Will change the balance of the pizza. I was then asked to help carry some stuff up to their carts up front by the oldest of them, who was very polite and handed me a $5 bill, looking around like she was giving me drugs. She closed it in my hand and was looking like she was super sly. She goes, "Shh, for your troubles." And I walk away kinda dumbfounded because I'd been there for like an hour for a simple snatch and grab. Later in line, I see them talking to a manager and pointing at me. They seem very happy. He comes to me and thanks me for helping them, acknowledging that I do not work here, but is happy that Wood Guys is that kind of environment. Aw, said if he had any openings, he'd ask me to fill out an application. I just smiled and told him I love the store and selection. It was pretty nice. Anyway, I know it doesn't have all the conflict and humor of a typical I Don't Work Here, but this made me feel good about myself and my fellow man. I love Wood Guys. I'm gonna miss it when I go back down south. Anyway, my hunt for crab will continue elsewhere. That was such a sweet story. I was expecting some, as he said, conflict, but I'm glad it was not to be found. Just a bunch of pleasant interactions of a dude helping out some ladies, and I guess in turn some employees. But yeah, it sounds like a video game store, but instead of video games, it's ramen. In case that got a little lost on you. In video game stores, typically people are like willing to help you out with video game selections, or like if you have any questions about a specific game that you're playing, there might be someone there that knows a lot about the game and they could give you some cool tips, and it feels less dirty than looking them up online. Alright, this story's called The Gentle Giant Doesn't Work Here. This happened to my husband. I call him the Gentle Giant because he is 6'4" and I am 5'5". My gentle giant, at first glance, you would get a feeling of intimidation. I was afraid of him when we first met at a backyard birthday party, but it turns out he was hired as a magician for the party. He started his performance in a group of 15 or so screaming 8-year-old children. To calm them down, he talked softly. There's always a few kids who will tell the others to be quiet, and it works. They all quieted down, and he went on with his routine. It never fails. Smart guy. But on with the incident. We were in a major superstore shopping, and I have to admit the way he was dressed, he did look like he may have worked there. We were in the kitchenware section because I needed a new slow cooker. As he pulled it off the top shelf, a very angry woman came speed walking toward us, with a scowl on her face that would scare a Marine drill sergeant. She came walking full speed at us, walked up to him and said in a very loud, near screaming voice, "It's about time I found someone working. Yo, I want you to come and help me." She actually startled my gentle giant, and he said, "Ma'am?" in a puzzled voice. "I have been trying to find someone for 5 minutes to help me. When you are done with her, I need your help getting an item." I tried to tell her he didn't work there, but she acted as if I said nothing. My gentle giant knew what to do and said in a very soft voice, "Ma'am, you're mistaken." "I don't want to hear it. Just come with me and help me." And once again, he said in a soft voice, "Ma'am, I am not an employee here." "Speak up, I can't hear you." And he continued in his soft voice, "Ma'am, please calm down. I am not employed here." "What?" I said, "speak up." This went on several times until she lowered her voice even though she was very angry. My gentle giant spoke up a little more. "Ma'am, you are mistaken. I do not work here." "Oh, don't give me that beaver sausage. You have the store uniform on. Now come with me." She began yelling again. My gentle giant said, "Oh, I could see how I could be mistaken for an employee. But look, my shirt does not have the store logo embroidered on my shirt. I don't have an employee ID or anything else. This is just my everyday shirt." "Beaver sausage, quit flirting with her and help me." My gentle giant continued in a soft, calm voice. "Ma'am, please calm down. Just look. People are staring at us. I really don't work here." The angry woman looked around at the other customers, who immediately turned around as if they weren't watching. I love that. Then a real employee pushing a cart filled with various products walked by us. The woman looked at my gentle giant, then looked at my gentle giant doing a double take. She noticed several customers staring at us. She stopped screaming and was clearly embarrassed. Her bottom lip began to quiver as she apologized profusely. Tears began welling up in her eyes. My gentle giant saw she was clearly upset and on the verge of breaking down. "Ma'am, why don't we go sit down in the sandwich shop?" She nodded, and my gentle giant put his huge hand on her back, leading her. We all sat down at a table, and he said, "Ma'am, clearly there is more to this. Is something bothering you?" And that's when the woman broke down, crying. I could see in his eyes he was truly concerned. "Would you like something to drink? Let me buy you a soft drink." The woman said, "Coffee, please?" My gentle giant said, "How about a lemonade? Lemonade makes everything better." I watched as he handed the woman a few napkins from the dispenser. She took them and wiped her eyes. "Now tell me, what's wrong?" The woman began to tell her how her boss had been on her back, chewing her out for anything and everything. On the way to the store, she got in a fender bender. She called her husband, who had yelled at her about getting into an accident. This had all been boiling inside her, and yelled at her because she was late. We sat there listening, and my gentle giant comforted her. He told her it was really okay. Everything is fine. No hard feelings, no ill will. It took everything I had inside me not to cry. I felt so bad for her. My gentle giant reassured her things will be okay. When she stopped crying and collected herself, my gentle giant said, "Okay, now let's go get what you needed." We walked to the aisle. My husband retrieved what she needed, and once again she apologized. My gentle giant said his famous words, "Over, done with, gone, I promise." The woman smiled a bit and thanked us for listening. My gentle giant nodded and smiled as she looked back at us as she walked off. I look at him, almost crying myself, and he said, "Oh, don't you start. Not every angry person is just naturally rude. It was a case of misdirected anger. Emotions building up. She needed a release and an ear to bend. For some people, it's just a really bad day. I'm sure she is really a nice person." I put my arm around him as we walked back to our shopping cart and finished our shopping. All the while, I kept asking myself, how did I get so lucky with this man? As we continued, his voice returned to his normal speaking voice, a very deep bass that could be heard by most anyone. In his very deep voice, he said, "Honey, I love you, but promise me, if I screw up in any way today, don't yell at me. I don't think I could handle a second round." I laughed and said, "Sure thing, babe. I promise." My gentle giant is right. There is some good in everyone. Not every person is truly rotten to the core Karen. Sometimes life deals you a crappy hand for a day or week or whatever. Anyway, that's our I Don't Work Here story. Thanks for reading and have a blessed day. God damn, that dude is like freaking patient. Really made me think of my Arthur Morgan, because when I played through Red Dead, he was a nice guy McSweetyheart. Alright? This guy's nice guy McSweetyheart. It's a very pleasant thing to read. Thank you for sharing. And I don't know why, I just every time I was imagining him as like the Green Giant from that vegetable brand. I think it's called a Green Giant. That's what I was imagining. A Green Giant plus cowboy. Somehow at the same time, like concurrently, not like a green cowboy, but Green Giant plus a gentle cowboy at the same time. It was weird. Alright, this story's called A Karen Demanded That I Clean the Toilet. I visited my mother at work today. My mom works in an office that gives out documents for truck drivers. Before the pandemic, I used to go with her often to work to help her. The work there is hard. I was usually handing over documents for the drivers, photocopying documents, or other things. Like every employee, my mother has keys to the office staff toilets, or the drivers don't have them and have to use another paid toilet. toilet. In order to not lose money, my mother would give me these keys, as it was today. My mother always told me that the women in her work were terribly messy. When you went to the toilet, there was water spilled over the sink, paper was all over the floor, around the toilets, and sometimes the women didn't flush the water after using the toilet. There was once a situation where a woman didn't flush after she had pooped, but instead stuffed the toilet with paper. When I went to the toilet, the first thing I saw were pizza boxes standing on the sink, just left by some woman. I asked myself, how can you be such a person to leave something like that? I hate mess. It's just that when I see something being messed up, I can't walk past it and I just clean it up. So I took those pizza boxes, folded them up, and threw them in the trash. And then I saw that there was a big puddle of water on the floor. Great. I took the paper, started wiping it up. Then a woman came into the toilet. She walked past me, ignoring it. I had not even finished wiping the floor when the woman shouted, "There's no paper!" I knew what a problem it was when you went to the bathroom and there was no paper. Hold on! I took the roll of toilet paper and threw it into the toilet cubicle where it was and went back to mopping the floor. When the woman came out, she immediately approached me. "Start doing your job seriously." Excuse me? "You should make sure that there is toilet paper in every cubicle." I don't work here. You do. Otherwise, why would you be wiping the floor? Because there was a puddle of water. And why are you wiping it? Because women like you make a mess and leave it for the cleaners to clean up later? That's what cleaners like you are for. By the way, wipe around the toilet. It's dirty there. I looked at her. I was mad. I don't work here. And even if I do, it doesn't give you the right to humiliate me or anyone else. You'd be walking around with a poo-covered ass. I threw the paper in the bin and left. I felt the woman grab my jacket. I turned rapidly towards her. "Don't touch me with your dirty hands. I didn't hear you flush the toilet. You are disgusting." The woman was shocked. I fixed my jacket and left the toilet. Later, I told it to my mother what had happened. She was proud of me for doing that. Ladies, please respect the work of others. Yeah, I've heard some freaking horror stories from like the women's restroom, or I guess girls' restroom, at my old high school. Oof. It's either like 100 million times cleaner than a guy's and it's like this paradise on earth, or it's just disgusting. Don't ask me how I know. I'm just kidding. I'm not gross. However, one time, when I was in Chipotle, I accidentally did go into the girls' bathroom and I used it. I didn't even realize it. And then when I came out, my uncle was like about to piss himself from laughing so hard. I'm like, what? He's like, you know, I've tried so many times to make you use the girls' bathroom. And the one time I don't try anything, you do it. And I was like, what? And I turned around and looked at the bathroom sign. I was like, oh no. And I thought like the police were hunting me down. I didn't really, but felt like it. Oh, also, OP, good on you for cleaning up a mess that was not really yours to clean up. I'm sure someone appreciated that. Not that lady, of course. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.